Revocable versus irrevocable trust. What are they and which one might be right for you? I'm Michael Jenkins, and as an estate planning attorney in California, we talk about this with clients most days. I'll take you through the basics in this video and help break down in the simplest and quickest way I can what each type is and what they do. Now be sure to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into it. Any trust at its basic level is just an agreement that you put together to hold on to property for you in the name of the trust, and then transfer that property to someone of your choosing at a set time, whether that be at your death or a certain number of years. Now, trusts come in two basic flavors, revocable and irrevocable. And of course, there's a bunch of different variations within those two categories, but at their essence, they're either revocable or irrevocable. A revocable trust is one where we put property into the name of the trust, but you retain full control over that property. So yes, legal title is in the name of the trust, but for all intents and purposes, it's as if it was in your personal name. You can do whatever you want with the property, and you can change the terms of the trust at any time. So as life changes, your trust is flexible and the terms can be amended according to your updated wishes. You can also completely revoke the trust and put property back into your personal name should you choose to. Now, even with a revocable trust, at some point it will become irrevocable. Usually that's going to be when you pass away. So this trust is revocable while we're alive, meaning I can do whatever I want with the property, I can change any terms, but when I pass away, I want this trust to be irrevocable at that point because I don't want any changes to be made if I'm no longer around. Just want you to follow instructions upon my passing. Now, an irrevocable trust, on the other hand, is one where at the time you set it up, you essentially lose ownership and control over the property. The trust owns the property and someone else named in the trust controls the property for your benefit or for the benefit of those around you. Now, as the name implies, an irrevocable trust can't be changed once you set it up. So at inception, it's set in stone, and if life changes, there's no easy tweaking of that document, and there's no pulling that property back into your name by revoking the trust. So that's a fundamental difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. Revocable trust you stay fully in control of during your lifetime, and you can change anything at any time. Irrevocable trust, you generally aren't going to have control of the property, and you can't make any changes once that irrevocable trust is established. Are there plenty of nuances here around the control of property piece and about amending an irrevocable trust? Sure, there's all kinds of different practice techniques to try to mitigate some of these things, but just know if you do too much of that, have too much control over your property, you're going to have an irrevocable trust, meaning you can't change any terms. And because of those little control tools you put into the document, you're probably going to lose the benefit of the irrevocable trust as well. Now, which one might be right for you? And in truth, this really is going to need a full consultation to kind of break down you, your family, your assets, your wishes, and what techniques might be appropriate for you. But in general, the vast majority of the population are going to land on the revocable trust side of things. Even those who add in irrevocable trust, they have a core foundation of a revocable trust and a full estate plan. The irrevocable trust piece gets added in for specific goals or to accomplish very specific things. So you would never just jump into an irrevocable trust and bypass the foundational planning. Now, if you're someone who, in setting up an estate plan, we want to keep our family out of probate court, we want to nominate who's going to inherit from our estate, we want to provide contingencies for those inheritances beyond just what a beneficiary designation would do. We want to provide some control over the inheritance. So we say how it's to be inherited, whether that's age-based or intervals or merit-based. We want to provide some asset protection to the beneficiaries, or at very least, we want to make sure that there's some divorce protection in the inheritance. And of course, we want to make sure that everything is inherited in a tax-advantaged way. A revocable trust is going to be the cornerstone of your estate plan, and it's probably all that you need to accomplish those goals. Now, an irrevocable trust should probably only be used in about 3 scenarios, at least in general. The big 3 are going to be federal estate taxes, Medicaid planning, or asset protection. Federal estate tax exemption planning, this is for someone who is over the threshold for the estate tax exemption, and we want to try to mitigate those expected taxes owed, or at least reduce things as much as possible, if not completely avoid that tax. This is what most people refer to as the death tax. If you pass away, the government takes stock of everything you own, the value of your estate, and if the value exceeds whatever the exemption amount is, there's a tax. Right now, it's about 40%. So it's a very large tax. Now, the good news is the federal estate tax exemption only applies to estates over about $12.9 million per person. So it's quite a bit of money, especially in the case of a married couple. Currently, less than 1% of the population needs to do any planning around the federal estate tax exemption amount. Now, caveat here, if you are in one of these states, you need to talk with an estate planning attorney to see if your state inheritance or estate taxes are going to affect your plan, because you may have to plan around more than just the federal limit. In California, we don't have state inheritance or estate taxes, so we only have to plan around the federal exemption amount. Now, the federal exemption amount will likely come down in 2026 by way of sunsetting of existing laws, so that 12.9 million number is going to come down to what's expected to be around 6 to 7 million. It's adjusted for inflation, so no one knows the number exactly at this point, but we'll know that as we get closer to 2026. If you're someone whose current net worth is over 6 million, 7 million per person, 12 to 14 million for a married couple. Between now and 2026, really sooner than 2026, between probably 2024, early 2025 at the latest, it's a good conversation to have with an estate planning attorney based on how laws are moving, whether you want to make any moves ahead of the sunsetting of those laws to take advantage of the historically very high estate tax exemption amounts. The second reason that you might consider an irrevocable trust is Medicaid planning. This is just a scenario where we're expecting to use Medicaid or SSI, and we need to move things out of our personal estate in order to qualify for those benefits. Now, obviously, not everyone wants to qualify for those benefits. They want to use what they earn to take care of themselves in the best way possible, and then when they pass, their kids can have whatever's left over. But some people do know that they're probably going to use Medicaid, and they don't want to spend down their estate to qualify. They'd prefer to use a Medicaid trust to shelter what they do have. Now, in California, this area of planning gets a whole lot easier around Medi-Cal laws and how they've changed over the years. Starting in 2024, Medi-Cal qualification is not asset-driven anymore. It's an income-only determination. So we don't have to worry about assets as much, and you also don't have to do anything fancy to avoid state reimbursement from your estate after you pass away. As long as your estate stays out of probate court, the state isn't going to make a claim to whatever you own. So if you're someone who just owns your home and you want to make sure it doesn't go to the state, a revocable trust is all you need. You don't need a Medicaid trust to do that. Now, the third area you might use an irrevocable trust is for asset protection. And there are so many misconceptions to outright lies out there on this topic that it starts to get your head spinning if you've seen previous videos. There's plenty of people out there who say every single family in America needs a trust that owns a parent company, that owns subsidiary LLCs, and there's just this fanciful structure. Most people don't need that. Most people are going to be just fine with their revocable trust, maybe an LLC for their rental properties, and good home, auto, and liability insurance, maybe an umbrella policy on top to make you sleep better at night. It's very rare that a complex structure is going to be right for you for the average family. Now remember, an asset protection trust is an irrevocable trust, and the only reason you'll get asset protection is because you don't own the property and you don't control the property. So you can't give somebody what you don't own and you don't control. Now, if you're someone who owns their home and has a mortgage on it, you're not going to be able to set up this kind of trust. Now, these kind of trusts are generally going to be for someone who owns assets outright. There's no mortgage, or they have discretionary funds that they're okay putting into this type of vehicle, and they won't lose sleep over it with someone else controlling. You probably are going to already be doing estate tax planning as well, because you've probably reached the net worth where these two things are going to start to go together. It would be pretty rare outside of estate tax planning to really take a hard look at asset planning as well, unless you're, say, a surgeon, a radiologist, a high-risk type of professional whose estate's probably going to grow 0 to estate tax thresholds as well. Your average mom and pop investor who owns their home and maybe owns some rentals and some investment accounts probably don't need anything like an asset protection trust in truth, but talk to an estate planning attorney local to you, let them explain the pros, cons of each type of vehicle and see which one sounds right for your situation. And that's really it. It's a revocable trust, that's an irrevocable trust, why you may use each type. If you have questions around revocable or irrevocable trust or estate planning in general, drop your questions in the comments below, and of course, like and subscribe to our channel for more great content like this.